It's been great. I mean, I had a lot of people talk to me prior to this that, hey, it's going to be a lot of waiting, a lot of moving around. You're going to get all this tests and stuff. It's going to be long. You're going to be woken up at 5 a.m. Meetings are going to be hard and everything. But all I've done is I had a bunch of people do a bunch of cool NFL videos and stuff like that. So I hope I get a chance to see those. Those were like a lot of fun, and they loved having me there, like ESPN and stuff like that. I got to talk to a bunch of coaches, talk ball, football, life, my philosophies on football. I got to talk about my high school, college, little league, and things like that. And then all the testing and stuff, it was fine. I mean, it was easy. The people there were lovely. It was good people. I mean, I don't know why people made it sound like it was gonna be so bad. It was kind of been the best week of my life. So really, I'm having fun with it. So I don't know.
There, how much work do you think that is to just kind of embrace this process and try to have fun with it, not just do it as a job?
It's huge. I mean, like it's all about the mindset that you have about what you're doing and how you're playing, and about what you're talking about. And my mindset is, I get this opportunity to reach my dream and play in the NFL. You know what I mean? And apply for a job to play for one of the best 32 teams in the world. And with that comes the responsibility of me being able to talk to a bunch of people, great coaches, meet legendary coaches on top of that. I got to see a lot of people that knew my former high school coach, Coach Sile. So whenever I go into meetings and stuff, we usually have like small conversations about that for like a minute or two because it's all fast paced and things like that. But I had a lot of great conversations. I had a lot of great stories and talked a lot of ball. So it's just about what you love about football, and those are the reasons why that can make things fun or it can make things not as fun. For me, all the things that I love about football in terms of talking ball, meeting people, creating new families, new relationships, it's all happening here. So it's like this is the best time of my life.
What are the biggest things you're trying to convey of yourself to the team through those interviews?
How much effort I play with on the field, how I am as a leader, and just what I'm willing to do to help a team win a Super Bowl. I mean, those are the three things that I feel like are who I am as a person. In terms of effort, I want to make sure that everyone knows that every single play, whether it's the first play or last play of the game, I'm going to give every single effort I have. I never take plays off. That's something I always want to make sure I emphasize. I did that in high school. I did that in college. I want to make sure I emphasize that I'll do that in the NFL as well. In terms of me being a team guy and making sure I bring guys together, the main thing I want to talk about with that is that a lot of people kind of get lost in the fray whenever they go into college or high school even, or even the NFL, when they aren't playing or they aren't starting or they don't feel like they're the guy, they don't have a lot of reps. And what you need is people who can identify people like that or identify moments where people are kind of lost in the fray or they're not really in the circle or not bought in the culture, and they can bring people back into it. So that's something I always try to emphasize from high school, from Coach Sile, and then also at Ohio State as well, is just making sure that everyone's bought into the culture, everyone understands what the program is, what we're doing, and what I'm willing to do to make sure that everyone understands what we're doing in that sense. And then the last thing talking about is just talking about winning the Super Bowl. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the main goal. At the end of the day, is just trying to win a Super Bowl. I just want to make sure that to every single team that I talk to, that if I was lucky enough for me to play for whatever team I'm playing for, my main and number one mission is to go win a Super Bowl. There's nothing else that I'm going to settle for. There's no accolades that I really care about or anything like that. The only thing I care about is getting a ring on my finger and being able to have that legacy be written into the lore of NFL history, that I was a part of a Super Bowl championship team. I was part of one of 32 teams to say, out of all 32 of the best teams in the world, we were the number one team in whatever year that was. And not only just that year, but multiple years on top of that. I think I put a good film. I mean, there were plays where I did get beat a few times here and there, but that's what it is. It's called competing, you know? I mean, it was just such a blessing to have this season and to go up against the people I went up against. And I know that you talked about those three guys, there's like a lot of guys that we played up against that had a great senior bowls, that were great NFLPA bowls and things like that we went up against that were in the Big Ten. Like, it was a crazy year, not only from this year in terms of the guys that I've faced up against as defensive ends, but also even last year when we played in the Sugar Bowl and then the championship game. Like, the amount of defensive ends that I played up against were incredible. And it was just a blessing to have that opportunity for me to go ahead and have that on film and see NFL talent people are going to be going on to the next level, that are trying to try their luck at the NFL draft just like me. So me having that ability to have film like that to show that I competed against those guys, and that whether I won a rep or I had a rep loss, I didn't waver from that. Made sure I kept coming back. Like I said, I'm going to give full effort every single play I got, and I don't get discouraged if I make a mistake or anything like that. I'm going to go as hard as I can every single play. Excuse me? The most pride in my effort. The thing that I said is that like every single play, I'm gonna go balls to the wall every single time I can. I don't. Am I allowed to say that? I know the NFL is a little. Yeah, I can say that. All right. But no, I'm gonna go as hard as I can every single play I can, and I'm gonna show out effort every single play I can. You're gonna see me finish through the whistle every single play that I'm on the field. I'm gonna make sure whatever guy I'm going up against, whether the defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, DB, whoever I'm up against, whoever I'm blocking, they're gonna feel me at the end of the play, and then every play after that. And I'm gonna make sure that my presence was known on the field. I mean, it was one of the toughest games in my career playing sports, let alone football. That game is a game that we train for 365 days. I think we're around like 230 days or 240 days right now. So right now, if I was back at Ohio State, we'd be doing, today's Friday. Yesterday, we'd have done Team Up North push-ups and sit-ups. So that's when we do core for how many days we have for us to play the Team Up North. So if it was like 305, let's say it's around January, we would have done 305 push-ups, sit-ups, and core about that game, because that's the main game. That's the one game that not only as us as a team we care about, but as Ohioans, as a great state of Ohio cares about. That's the one game that we care about, and leaving that with a loss is upsetting. I mean, I'm still reeling from that. It's something that I took it mentally, but I took it mentally as this sense of like I never want to have that feeling again. I never want to have that feeling of me letting down not only the team or letting down this great state of Ohio or the fans or my coaches. I want to make sure that I never have that feeling again, and that's something that I express to teams and things like that. So I feel like I could have played better. I feel like I could have been a better leader during that game. I feel like I could have done more to help the team stay together and not waver in those moments. But with the greatest tragedies comes great times to overcome and great things that you can persevere through, and that's something that I've been using to help myself. So when I'm talking to teams about it, they would ask me about those games, and they would say, "What have you learned? How do you feel about those games?" I say that it was a tragedy. It's something that I wished I never could have ever happened. I didn't think it would ever happen to me in my career, losing to that team. But with that comes a new mindset with me, a new mentality about me, a new vigor in terms of like never letting something that's that precious go. And I'm hoping that when I get to the league, and if I get a chance to go to the league and things like that, that I'll be able to express that to the team I'm with, and that mindset and that determination in terms of making sure we win those type of games, those big time games, which in the NFL, any given Sunday you can win or lose a game. So that's every single Sunday, let alone wild card, let alone playoffs or championship games or Super Bowl. I just want to make sure that they understand that I understand how much that meant to me, how much it felt, how much was lost for me from that loss, and how I'm trying to recuperate from that and show that not only am I going to not have that happen to me again, but I'm going to make sure that I teach people so it never happens to them in the future. A lot. I mean, that's the game, and you never want to leave off on a bad note. That's nothing. That's something I never really wanted to do. I mean, I had a few seasons in high school where we got to the playoffs and we lost like a playoff game or something like that, and it just sucks because you go through the entire season just thinking about those last moments with the team, those last moments with your brothers. And I've only had, I think, 2 seasons in my football career where I've had a winning ending, but both of those endings weren't necessarily what I wanted. In high school, I had a winning ending my senior year, but we went 5-4. We missed the playoffs, so it was kind of like, yeah, I'm happy I played for my seniors. I'm happy I won last one for my high school, for my head coach and for Berkeley Prep, but we never got to that chance of getting to the championship game. We had a lot of close games that year, and we were like, if we just had one shot to go into playoffs, we felt like we could have turned the tide and been that team that came from a 5-4 season and like found a way to win a championship. And then my 2018, when we went to the Rose Bowl, I mean, we really wanted an opportunity to go play in a college football playoff there, and we didn't. We got the 5th seed, and then we would play in the Rose Bowl, and it was an amazing experience being at the Rose Bowl that year, and it was great ending it off with a win. But then all we talked about from that year was, how do we lose to Purdue? Why do we? How did us losing to Purdue stop us from achieving our goal of getting of once we get to Indy, we can make a chance for us to make a run at the college football playoff? Because once you're in the playoff, anything can happen when it's the final 4 teams. As long it just matters who practices the hardest, who has the best team, who has the best camaraderie, and who has the best willingness to go that extra mile when people don't think you need to. When people kind of get lazy and they get last because it's the end of the season, what are you going to do to make sure you have an edge on your opponent that extra time?
Why did you choose to opt out of the Rose Bowl?
So when I played during the season, I never really wanted to think about whether I was going to opt out or anything like that. What I wanted to focus on was just play through the entire season. And once I came up for air, whenever I had a break, whether that was mid-season, just to figure out where I was mentally there, or physically, or what I need to do better, or even end of the season, I just wanted to make sure I kind of looked at myself, reevaluated myself, and figured out what was going on. So when end of the season happened with Team Up North, it was sad because we lost that game. We weren't at Indy, so we had to sit at home, seeing that the championship at Indy, we weren't there, and then I'm waiting for the playoffs. And then when that happened, I kind of looked up and I said, you know what? I have a lot of film, I have a lot of tape, and this opportunity for me to achieve my dream to play in the NFL, because I came to Ohio State because I wanted to play in the NFL and I wanted to achieve my lifelong dream of playing in the league and being able to sit in front of 32 teams and say, I want to be part of this history. I want to be part of this team, not be a part of this team and just play, but I want to be part of the history of this team. I want to make sure that I do something that creates a legacy that lasts longer than the 5-year contract or 4-year contract that you get, or lasts longer than whatever contract you have, that it lasts beyond generations, that people's kids can talk about. I remember that guy who got drafted, or I remember that guy that played for that team. I can't believe his dedication, his work ethic, his willingness to sacrifice for the team. So when I kind of looked up, I saw that was right in front of my face, and it was like so close that I could just like almost like touch it. And when I saw that, I said to myself, what do I have to do to get to that point so I could be the very best that I could be, so that when if I get to the combine, if I got that invite, or if I go to Pro Bowl, if I go to Pro Day, that I can show myself, hey, this is my best self. This is the person that I want to show teams, and that I hope that they give me that opportunity. And when I felt that, I said that I think that the best thing for me to do was for me to opt out, but it was for me to achieve my dream and for me to chase my dream of playing in the NFL. That was just so close that I could almost just touch it. I was just like, what do I have to do that?
So you wanted to start that training earlier, basically, in the combine?
Yeah.
What stood out about your time with Justin Fields, and what were your impressions of his rookie season?
You know, I mean, he played hard. I mean, that's something that we always knew about Justin, is that, like, no matter whatever resiliency that he saw or whatever happened to him, that he was going to play hard. I know that he loves the Chicago coaching staff, and I know that they have a new coaching staff now, and I know that he's been in long talks with them and working with them and trying to figure out what they're going to do differently or what they aren't going to do differently, what they're keeping the same and things like that. All I know is that Justin, this entire offseason, has been working his butt off this entire time to get himself to where he needed to get to, and he did that before he got drafted by Chicago, when he was just training for combine and things like that, and he did that once he got drafted, and he was doing that during the season. So my thoughts on his season is that he played as hard as he could. He played on an amazing team with the Chicago Bears, one of the most storied franchises in the NFL ever, and I think that he created himself as a new staple on that team. And I think that his leadership and his infection and how affectionate he is as a person is about to rub off on a lot of people, and it's going to change that team.
How much do you value offensive line versatility in your ability to make decisions?
Can you say that again?
How much do you value being able to play multiple positions?
It's huge. I mean, like I said, I think I talked about this when I was back at Ohio State and stuff, like with Coach Stud, is that we always talked about how every offensive lineman needed to know every single player on the field in terms of the offensive line. But then also we learned a lot more about wide receivers and all the running backs and quarterbacks and stuff in terms of what they're doing, why they're doing a fake cadence, what we're trying to look for, what are their keys and reads, because we learned a lot about that, because you need to be able to understand football in totality. And the only way you can do that, especially at the offensive line play, is knowing from right tackle to left tackle to center to guards and guards that you need to know every single block. You need to know why they're doing a block. You need to know what the aiming points are, because not only does that help you in the future in terms of knowing different types of blocking schemes, because a lot of the blocks sometimes become similar. There's little nuances and different variations here and there, but a lot of times they kind of blend together. And if you're able to show that ability to say, hey, I know every single position on the field, and if my number's called and someone got hurt, or God forbid someone got hurt, or someone said, hey, we need someone to step up here and make a big play at the biggest moment of the game, if you were able to go up to your coach and say, hey, I could play center right now, or hey, I could play the guard position. I know this play. I know this like the back of my hand. I know it like I was playing tackle. I know it like I was playing left guard. I know it like I was playing center. Whatever position I was, I know exactly what that play is. I know what the blocks are. I know what the calls are. If you're able to explain that to a coach and show that both in film, both off season and in season, you're invaluable. That's something that you can't really replace. I want to show my athleticism. I think that the combine, this is an amazing opportunity to be here in front of the NFL and like run a 40 in front of the NFL teams. Like that's something that like when you're like a little kid, like 6-year-old, you always just look at these guys, these huge guys when you're just a little kid, and you see like, well, I wasn't that little when I was 6, but you see these big guys that are just like running this 40, and you're just like, if I get that opportunity for me to like be at that moment and be in front of millions and millions of fans and family members and friends that can just watch you go and perform at your best, not only in college football or high school, but I mean just in NFL in general. Like this is the first opportunity I get to showcase myself in terms of an NFL stage. So I want to make sure I show off my athleticism. I've already had a lot of meetings with a lot of teams. I wanted to make sure they knew how analytical I was about football, how much I love the game and not only just because I love the game, just because I love playing it, but because what the game has brought me. The game has brought me so many friends and family members, because I'm a single, like a lot of people may not know this, I don't, because this is a new landscape with the NFL and things like that, but Ohio State knows I'm a single child. It's just me and my mom, so she's a single mother, and I never really had any brothers or sisters, but my family and like father figures have come from football. Like every single head coach that I've had has been a father figure for me. I've been in their offices on multiple occasions and talking to them about life and things like that, and I look up to them as father figures because those are the guys that whenever I have a problem, like those are my dads. Those are the people that I say, hey, this is the person that I trust. This is the person that I respect, and this is the person that I want to be around. And then in terms of the brotherhood, in terms of family, like my best friend from high school, Dylan Brown, he played right guard and left guard with me when I was playing tackle. My best friend from my friend Thayer here at Ohio State, he was playing left guard. Wyatt, he was playing right guard with me. Like all of my brothers on the offensive line, both in high school and college, like they're all my best friends. My roommates are football guys. Like I went up my roommate. He's from Dallas. I got to go hang out with his family for a week during the summer. Like I've created so many different relationships and new families because of football, and that's kind of why I love the game, because of what it's been able to give me. It's been able to give me something that I wasn't able to be afforded. I wasn't afforded a father figure. I wasn't afforded to have extra brothers and sisters, but the game gave that to me, and that's something that I can never repay the game. Her emotion with me, or evolution. I mean, so like my mom had me when she was in high school her senior year, and then she went to USF, and then she got a academic scholarship for her to go to USF, and then my grandparents took me in for 3 years while she was doing that. She actually finished up the degree early to come back and get me, and she just taught me so much about resilience and about what it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. And I remember when I was a little kid, she always told me, do you want to be great or do you want to be mediocre? And that was something that we had like when I was like 6. Like it's something that you wouldn't really think that you would have that conversation with a 6-year-old. My mom wanted to establish to me that you are going to be more mature at a younger age, because you need to be able to do certain things differently without a father figure. You're going to have to live life a little differently without a father figure. My mom prayed to God, and we always pray to God every single day. And my mom, I remember she would always tell me this prayer about how she prayed to God, and she said that, God, I want you to be his father figure. I want you to instill in him the things that I can't instill in him as a mother. Like my mom, I mean, at the end of the day, moms are the best. I can't, like, I don't get it twisted. I mean, like, you only get one mom at the end of the day, but there's certain things that, like, my mom knew that she wasn't going to be able to do because she wasn't a man, and she couldn't give me those moments that sometimes you couldn't afford. But like I said, God has been a father figure for me, and he's put people in my life that have given me those moments, from my coaches, from my teammates, fathers, my teammates' families, from brothers and sisters in those families. Like, those things have been instilled in me from God above, and to give me those opportunities to really express, to learn how to become a man, how to become a person throughout my time. Thank you. It's crazy. It's 2022. We've been through a COVID pandemic. We have a new strand that was on the way. The combine was about to be in a bubble. Season got canceled, came back. Games got canceled. Games got canceled during that season. We played one of the most crazy college football seasons you could ever imagine in the history of college football. And somehow, some way, the Ohio State Buckeyes were at the championship game. And when I think about that and I think about where I am now, and it's just like, can you really, like, I can't really imagine how this happened. Like, how do we go through that entire COVID season, through all the ups and downs, from a lot of social injustice things and things like that. Like, there's so many things that happened over the past 2 years that kind of shaped our world forever, that will never be replicated again. Even there may be another pandemic. Hope, God forbid, knock on wood, hopefully not. There may be more social injustice. Hopefully not. Hopefully we learn and we grow better as a country and as a world to become better people and have more equality and more fairness and more love for one another. But it may happen. But I could just tell you that this has been a once in a lifetime, like 2 or 3 years. And to think that at the end of it all, like right now, I'm sitting here talking in front of you guys, in front of an NFL microphone with a little NFL nameplate, the scouting combine, with a chance to go do something that almost every single little kid every single athlete ever dreamed of, is go run a 40 at Indy. Which is, I think this is the last time that we're going to be doing the combine at Indy, or maybe there'll be another time they're going to do it. So, but I'm doing it at the traditional place, so I'm like the last group of guys to be able to do that and have that legacy of being one of the last few groups to do it at Indy and things like that. Like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's something that you'll never be able to replicate or think about again, because it may never happen again.
So sorry, guys. We got to let him go. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.